of Utah Beach. It was a roaring, churning engine of men and machines, fighting not just the enemy, but the very elements, the sucking sand, the murderous surf, the tangled hedge of German obstacles. Victory here was measured in inches of dry ground, in a steady crawl beyond the shingle. And in the middle of it, Sergeant Frank Kelso saw something that made no tactical sense. A soldier, a private from some washed-asunder engineering unit, was not running, digging, or firing. He was kneeling in the wet sand, just beyond the tide line, carefully picking things up and putting them in his helmet. Not ammunition, not grenades, books. A waterlogged copy of The Great Gatsby, a German phrase book, a shattered leather binding that might have been a Bible, a pulp detective novel, its pages plastered together with seawater. He gathered them with a tenderness utterly alien to the beach, placing each one in his helmet like he was handling holy relics. "Hey, you!" Kelso yelled over the din, scrambling over to him. "What in God's name are you doing? Get to cover. Get to your unit." The private looked up. He was young, with wide, calm eyes behind fogged glasses. He held up a sodden copy of Leaves of Grass. "This one's from New Jersey. That one," he pointed to the phrase book, "is from maybe Ohio. This one's German. They shouldn't all get mixed up and lost together." A geyser of sand erupted 10 yards away as a mortar shell hit. Kelso ducked, his heart hammering. "They're books, soldier. They're paper. Leave them." But the private didn't, and began moving up the beach, not toward the fighting, but parallel to the waterline, continuing his rescue mission. Kelso, tasked with clearing a lane for the tanks, lost sight of him. He wrote the kid off as shell-shocked, a casualty of a different kind. In the lee of a battered concrete pillbox, the private had created a library. The books were laid out on a scrap of canvas, arranged not by title or language, but by damage. The Gatsby was open, pages fanned to dry. He was gently peeling apart the pages of the pulp novel with the tip of his bayonet. A small, ragged group of G's stood around him, not laughing, but watching in silent, baffled reverence. A big mortarman from Texas was holding a dripping copy of A Tale of Two Cities. I was an archivist at the New York Public Library. An archivist. Kelso looked at the pathetic, beautiful little collection on the canvas. The first American institution on the continent of Europe wasn't a command post or a supply dump. Eliot carefully smoothed a page of Whitman. "Because they're proof, Sarge." "Proof of what?" "That we were thinking," Eliot said, looking up at him, his eyes clear behind his dirty lenses. "Before we came here to do this, we were thinking about stories and languages and love and crime. We were carrying ideas. And the Germans in that pillbox. Someone should try and keep the stories separate, just for a little while longer." He went back to his work, a curator of chaos. Kelso walked away, back to the war of maps and objectives. Fought his own quiet battle against the tide, not to take ground, but to salvage the scattered, sodden evidence of a world they could still read. In the grand strategy, it meant nothing. In the history of human hearts, it was the first act of peace, the careful, irrational sorting of the things we make from the things we destroy.